tell us where you were born. Where did you fit in line with the number of siblings you already had? Yeah.
I was born February 3rd, 1931 in Honolulu. My mother was Nancy Calais Espinda Fernandez, and my father was Charles Louis Fernandez. I was the fourth one. I had three sisters before me, and then I was the first boy. And so, being the first boy, you become sort of the preferred one because at that time, boys were always preferred. And I was the oldest boy in the whole family. So, and then I had my brother, came after me. The earliest recollection I have is in about 1936, 37, and when we moved to Ala Moana. I know we lived someplace closer to Makali, but I don't know exactly where. I remember the house, but when we moved to Ala Moana, I was probably about 4, 5, 3, around there. I guess then I could remember some. Then I went to St. Louis. Actually, all the girls went to Maryknoll and the boys went to St. Louis. And so there's a brother after me, George. I spent 12 years there. I really enjoyed the school. But getting back to my family, my grandmother had Molly Ryan Espinda, my mother's side, and David Akana Espinda, my grandfather. And on my father's side, my grandmother was Emily Cockett Brash Fernandez, and she's from Molokai. My grandfather died, I believe, the year I was born in a flood in Kalihi. So I never knew anything. But I enjoyed getting back to St. Louis. I enjoyed my time there, the 12 years. If they had school 7 days a week, I would have gone to school. I just love school. I love the atmosphere, and it's all boys. And my father used to drop me off at the school early in the morning. I was probably the second or third guy in school. And he dropped me off out in front. And at that time, it was the governor. He was the captain in the police force, Burns, and he would drop off his son, and we'd play until school started.
So when you talked about moving to Ala Moana, is that what stands there today?
Today, I think it's the Prince Hotel, but I think before that was Kaiser Hotel. That's exactly where we live. When I was there at the beginning, there was just Holborn Lane and all Kiawe trees and bushes around, and a Chinese store on the corner, Kamloops store.
Yeah.
And my mother used to send me over there, and those days you buy egg, you can buy one or two. They come in a big box. And the same with butter. You can buy one block of butter. So, there's no such thing as supermarkets then. But we enjoyed ourselves. We ate fish almost every day. And the water came right out almost to our back step. And so we get used to eating fish. And once a month we would have meat, maybe liver, kidney, tongue. We got used to that. I thought everybody else eat the same thing, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the place right next where we lived, our house, and that's all Bishop Estate property, I think. My father was paying $1 a year for that. Oh. And next to us was a Hawaiian lady lived in a big house, and there was, I remember going in there taking things over for her, but the house basically had the kitchen, and bathrooms and one bedroom, and I think the rest is just all open. And she had punees all over the place, and people come, their friends and family, and I guess, and we were right on the water, so that was like a beach house. Right next to that was a Japanese tea house, and they used to have events on Sunday, and for the Japanese people, and they have games, and we used to all play, be a part of that. And then when the war came, they took over that, and they made it into a Chinese restaurant, P.Y. Chong's, and that became famous because they were serving steak and Chinese food, and lots of the military officers used to go there all the time, all through the war. My sisters, they weren't that active in the ocean. They're basically inside with the mom, with my mother, and whatever they're doing. But my brother, he and I, we were always out there in the ocean or water, swimming or fishing. And we had traps, and we laid net and went torching. That I like. But as far as the family thing there, I was more close to the neighbors.
Yeah.
We had the next door neighbor, and our next door neighbor there's no distance between, it's right next to each other, house to house.
Right.
And his was the Cano family. He was the maitre d' at Halekulani Hotel. He's the one that got me my first job there. And he had two girls, Betty and Elizabeth. And John was 1 year older than me. He went to McKinley. And Betty and Elizabeth went to intermediate school. I don't know, can't remember for that area. But they had a furrow outside. So the mother used to boil water, and they had a shower, and they take a bath in the big tub, I guess, and they pour the hot water in every day.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
You know what's kind of cool? You were really given lessons by the elders. You had, I think, a really free-spirited grandma, and you would love to go to her house, and it took you a long time to get used to a special scent.
That was my Kalihi grandma.
Yeah.
And she was married to my grandfather, of course. And she was a pretty lady from Molokai. She was kind of a rascal, but he was very domineering. He wouldn't let her do anything. And when he died, and he was well off, he was very rich. In fact, when they first moved there was a ranch. They had a big ranch in Kalihi. They had all that area where the park is and the school. That was all his property. And they owned the Whitman's Jeweler. They owned that. And when he died, she went wild. And she drank and partied up, and she was, I thought, one of the nicest. She would spoil me. And we'd go there, and her property was about an acre. And she had every kind of mango tree, mountain apple tree, rosy apple tree, everything. And Vivi tree, and a big Victorian-style home with a porch right around. And we'd go there, and my brother and I, and the Fern Park was right across the street, and they had a bandstand there, and all the rascal guys used to hang around there. But we go there, and she had asthma, and she used to smoke this special cigarette, and I didn't know what it was. And I'd watch her, and she'd go in the bathroom, and she'd suck on it, and that thing would smell horrible. But she just spoiled us rotten. Whatever we want, we got. And it was years later when I was taking Keith, he was going back to school, and we were at the Honolulu airport, and there was a couple of boys in the front of us smoking marijuana in the airport. It used to be in the area in the middle, they had all kind of trees and plants and stuff, and we were walking in there. And he said, "Dad, you know what that is?" I said, "No, that's marijuana." I said, "I knew that smell. My grandmother, she smoked that when I was young. Those days, marijuana was legal. You go to the store and you buy a pack of marijuana. You come in a green, look like a Lucky Strike cigarette in a green pack." And she'd come on, and she's fine and smiling, but I never knew what that was. But then I found out later on that was marijuana. But I never smoked it, but I just smelt it. I know what it was.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Yeah. Lots of memories, yeah. So let's go back to the war. And what happened, there were new rules that were put into place. Kids had to get into the house before dark set in. What else happened about putting barbed wire in your house, around your house?
After we got back to the house after December 7th, then they came around with all kind of different rules, and plus they installed barbed wire all along all the beaches. I don't know if they went all over, but all along Almona, our area, Waikiki, they put in barbed wire rolled, so you couldn't go in. You know, if you could find out where an opening, you'd go out, but we couldn't go fishing for the at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then they had blackouts where you had to put black paper around the windows, so if you want to turn on your lights at night, it could not show outside. They had what they call a block warden who would go around and check, make sure there are no lights are showing. Otherwise, you get cited, I guess, or whatever. But it was restricted. Other than you could only buy so many things.
Well, it changed because St. Louis College became a hospital.
Became a hospital, military hospital, and so I was in the 5th grade, and so they sent the 5th and 6th graders of St. Louis to go to St. Patrick's School in Kamiki, and we co-shared the school. We went in the morning, and they went in the afternoon. And when the 7th and 8th grade went to Cathedral, the Catholic school, and again was shared. In the morning we went in, and the afternoon they went in. And for the high school, they went to McKinley. They shared McKinley. I don't know if they went all day or half day. But I went to St. Patrick's and ended up at Cathedral. And I like Cathedral because I would half day, and the other half, there was a Japanese temple right across. I guess it was a temple or something. And they were teaching judo, and so I enrolled, and I went to that for 2 years. After school, I'd go over there and learn judo.
So toughening you up, did that get you ready for freshman year football and then 3 years at St. Louis?
I did.
Up until graduation, your football
years there. In 1945, we moved back. They gave us back to school, but they weren't completed. The athletic facilities were not ready. So, and I had turned out for the junior varsity football team, and the football field in the locker room wasn't ready. So what they did is they'd bus us, the boys that were on the football team, or those who wanted to be on the football team, they bused us to a Dole Pineapple Cannery. They had a football field there. And so we got there and went in the locker room, changed, and practiced. And then when we were done, change our clothes and get on a bus, and you had to find your way home on the regular transit bus.
Yeah. And somehow along the way, you joined Heilani Rowing Club.
When I was going to be a senior,
Yeah.
it was the summer of 1948.
I think.
48.
48. Yeah.
And I was working at CPC Cannery, California Packing Corporation, Del Monte, as a trucker. And one of my friends, teammates, says, "Why don't you come out and help try the Heilani Rowing Club? You can get in shape." Because I used to go to the park after I got home from working and work out, then I'd go home. But this way I went there and I row. It's not paddling, it's rowing. And I really liked it. And the same week I turned out, there was a gorgeous young lady turned out too for the women's side, the girls' side. And I started talking to her. And I thought she was the prettiest thing I ever saw in my life. And And she was always in a rush to go home because she had to, after she got through practicing, she had to go home and make dinner for her father and her brother who was working in the construction. Well, we had our first meet, and we both won our races. She was with the junior women, I was with the junior men. And somebody said, well, they're going to have a party at Waikiki, and everybody's invited. Well, those days, Waikiki was all homes. There's no buildings or houses. Hotels or condos. And so I went home and I took a bath, and my mother made something for me to eat, and then I caught the bus and I went down there. When I walked in, he was this gorgeous thing talking to her girlfriends. So I cut in front of him, and we started talking, and we talked, and we had something to eat. And then she said, there's a group of kids playing a game on the floor. Do you mind if I take a sip?
No, take a break.
Anyway, there was a group of kids playing a game on the floor called Spin the Bottle, and being from St. Louis is kind of naive. I didn't know what she was talking about. So she said, no, try it. So there were two openings, and one on each side. So she sat on one side, I did on the other. And so when it came time for me to spin the ball, and it pointed right to her, and she's bending over with these beautiful, gorgeous, wet lips, and I'm thinking, I never kissed anybody in my life on the lips. I kissed my mother and my sisters on the cheek, but never on the lips. And so when I did kiss her, I thought I died and went to heaven. I'm telling you. So we both got up and we went on the side and talked.
Yeah.
And talked. And then she said it's getting late, and she had to go home because her last bus in Camp Heights leaves Farrington at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I said, the same thing. And when I lived at William and Rise, the last bus leaves at Wildlife Avenue at 10 o'clock. So I asked if I could take her home. She said, yeah. So I took her home. We made the last bus. And we walked up to her front step. She lived on Hillcrest. And we sat there and we talked for probably an hour, and quiet, and everybody sleeping and getting late. So I told her that I think I better go because I got to walk down the hill to Farrington, catch the bus, go all the way to Kamiki and walk up the hill to my house because no bus. So I asked her, can I kiss you one more time? She said, yes. So I did. And that was the beginning for the rest of my life, for the next 73 years.
Yes.
That we were together, and almost every day we had something to do with each other, except in a short period of 6 months when I went overseas to work.
Yeah.
But other than that, we were always together.